Do you remember a few years ago when everyone was really upset about the Atlanta Falcons playing crowd noise on the stadium speakers? From opposing players to fans in the stands who had listened to it, it was despised. How terrible then has 2020 been that most teams in college football are playing artificial crowd noise and nobody is complaining about it? Unlike the Falcons, though, college football teams do have to follow certain rules. What you play for one team has to be played for the other and at the same volume. And that seems fair at face value, but it absolutely defeats the point of crowd noise. During regular times, crowd noise tells you everything you need to know about the momentum in the game. Crowd noise tells you who has the ball and what down it is. Crowd noise can tell you how much time is left in the game. Crowd noise tells you how good the game actually is. And crowd noise can affect the snap count, force timeouts, and create false starts. Absolutely none of this is accomplished with fake crowd noise. I suspect it's actually probably somewhat of a novelty for some of these schools. I'm a Notre Dame fan, and the stadium is usually packed during a normal football season every game of the year, whether it's home or away. However, for most teams, including some big schools like Alabama and USC, the stadium isn't always that full or that loud. And especially for the smaller schools with lesser known programs, playing a football game every week with the cheers of fans, real or not, is a novelty that they rarely get to experience. I understand that. But as a college football fan who lives in a yurt in the middle of the desert, listening to the same monotone crowd noise is just annoying. You can easily see the stands are as empty as they would be for a West Coast Pop Warner football game on a Sunday afternoon. In fact, it's just the parents and some school faculty there most of the time, so that analogy may actually be pretty damn accurate. Indeed, while real crowd noise is great, it's not always necessary. On most Saturdays, I'll flip through the channels looking for the best college football game on television. I'd rather watch a close Tulsa versus Toledo game than a blowout Georgia versus Vanderbilt game. And a lot of times, the closest games don't have huge in-person audiences, and you can barely hear any crowd noise besides maybe a few dorms worth of fanatic students and the school's cheerleaders. I mean, heck, that's pretty much 90% of all bowl games anyways. And few college football fans have ever had a problem with that. Now, I don't know how players feel about it. Maybe it's difficult for them to take the game seriously when it's as quiet as a spring practice. Maybe the coaches like the artificial crowd noise because it disguises the liberal use of swear words if they'd rather their athletic directors not hear from their box seats in the upper levels, whether it's on television or just through the open window. However, as a fan, it's annoying. It makes the announcers harder to listen to, whether it's on television or the radio, and it's wildly misleading about the momentum of the game, the time of the game, who has the ball, and everything else crowd noise usually tells you. With the exception of the Big Ten and Pac-12 conferences, I'm actually very impressed with how most of the conferences have handled this unusual season. My one and only gripe about 2020's NCAA football season has been this artificial crowd noise. If they want to use artificial crowd noise, the NCAA should have reached out to EA Sports and paid them for the AI that controls the crowd noise in their football games. Yeah, it would favor the home team, but most teams play half their games at home anyway, so it would even out over the course of a season. Because the algorithm would control the crowd noise and the conferences would probably create rules determining the maximum decibel values, you wouldn't have to worry about some AV student maxing out the stadium speakers on every single third down. Now, it may not be totally fair since the home team would have the advantage, but they would have the advantage if the fans are in the stadiums anyways. That would be like saying it's unfair that they have home field advantage. That's why they call it an advantage. Shy of a conference agreed upon solution like this, though, the NCAA or the networks should just re-ban the playing of artificial crowd noise in stadiums. It's terrible and it makes the games just annoying to watch or at least listen to. On the bright side, it has given me a chance to experiment with different migraine medicines. Advil's liquid caps are the best so far, but Excedrin's pretty good too. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to check out ktracy.com.